are going to talk about the ethnic violence in Guinea. So please listen a bit and we will finish shortly.
What?
Here is the demography of Guinea. And approximately we have 11 billion people. The estimate they give in 2010, because there was an election, an ongoing election, so the people who was registered to the electoral list and those who left, so we estimate it's 11 million people. And the country is formed actually by many different ethnic groups, but we have some major here. We have the Susu. It's one ethnic group, and they are 20% of the population. And we have the Pearl, that's my ethnic group. We are 34% of the country, and they are the Mandingo. Actually, some call them Manica, some call them Mandingo. 33%, and some other smaller groups which reside from the forest zone. I will show you the map shortly and explain where exactly these people are based. The Basari, the Konyagi, and so on. So these people occupy the 19% left. Here is the Guinean flag, red, yellow, and green. And here is the map. So as you can see, there is lower Oaks. So, as you can see, there is Lower Guinea, Middle Guinea, and Upper Guinea, and the Guinea Highlands, actually the forest zone. So in here, the community, the Susu, which I said is 20%, they occupied here. But before like the 8th and the 9th century, they was residing in here in the Middle Guinea. So when our ethnic group came in Guinea, actually we pushed them to Lower Guinea. So they come and they occupy if you can see, there is the Atlantic Sea, the Mediterranean. So they came here. And here the Upper Guinea was the Mandingo group. So they was residing in here. And the forest zone where the Gerze and Soma, the 90% was living there. So the origin of the violence actually all started when in the colonial times. So we had the French colony. So they used to use that ethnic divisions to actually to promote themselves in the power. So they favoritized the Fula ethnic group because we was the majority. So they tried to use the Fula group to, to promote themselves and have more power in the country.
The Fula group, is that the food?
Yeah, the Pearl. Yeah. So they try to work with the Fula ethnic group and marginalize the others. So that's where exactly the conflict started, because the others was actually fighting for the French government to recognize them, and the French government didn't. They was just working with the Fula ethnic groups. But in 1958, we become independent, and actually Ahmed Sekou Touré was the first president, Guinean president. So that was his preferred quote, we can say. He preferred poverty in freedom to riches in shame. That's what he said to the French government. Actually, there was like around 16 or 17 countries in Africa, something. The West Africa was colonized by the French country. So what he was trying to do is to make us totally independent and not just become a part like federations of France. He was trying to demolish this this colonization by helping the other countries as well to become totally independent. But France wanted federations, like you are free, half free, but actually we control some other parts of the country, so that's what they wanted. And this Ahmed Sekou Toure is from the Mandingo group. If you remember, I said the first time, the Mandingo was the ones who was marginalized. And now they came to power and the French leave the country. Now the French was working with the full ethnic groups, and Ahmed Sekou Toure is from the Mandingo side. So what happened now, it's like a conflict between the Mandingo and the Fula, because he was like, they was fighting us with the French, and now we got the power, we have to fight them back. So that was a bit the ideology of it. He arrested arbitrarily many people, not included Fula ethnic groups such as Diallo. He was the first African Union Secretary. Diallo, he's from Fula ethnic group, actually from the same region of me as well. So he arrested him and tortured him before he has been killed. This is Ahmed Sekou Toure, the president I was talking about. And here is Diallo, and here is, this one is when he was actually in office, and here when he is in prison. As you can see, his name is Diallo. And here, this is how the president used to kill people. What used to happen? If he arrests people, he bring all their family, and he send the military around the region, around the capital, to bring everybody out and come to watch how they kill people. You have to come. And even though your family is there, they have to say, we are happy. Same as what Said explained earlier. So that's how they lived, as you can see people around them. So this is after 1979. The Portuguese attacked the country. So when they fell, actually, so when they fell, the president Ahmed Sekou Toure says that it's a full complot, like helping the Portuguese to take him out of the power because they were conquering. So that brings him in, like, he comes publicly in front of the television and he says that Fula ethnic group is threats and we have to fight them, we have to kill them everywhere they are in the country. So actually he declared war against the Fula ethnic groups. That made a lot of people, a lot of high businessmen and intellectuals from Fula ethnic group to leave the country. And in '84, the regime changed. Actually, he died in Cleveland, the president. So he has been in power since '58, from '58 to '84. Then, what happened? The Susu take the power. The Susu ethnic groups. That's the third largest ethnic group. And when they take the power, they straight away start collaborating with our ethnic groups. Now, and they marginalize the Mandingo groups. I don't know if you're following how it's going, because the first time it was the Fula working with the French. The second time was the Mandingo working like against the Fula, because first time they was against the Mandingo. And now the Susu came, they take away the Mandingo again, they bring back the Fula. So that's actually that's the main problem. That's what created all the problems, because marginalizing the others and taking the others closer. So that's bring the others to become frustrated as well. So in 1990, actually, instead of creating only two political parties, because the president, the social president, he actually suggested that let's create only two political party in the country. Then the political leaders, they didn't accept that. They said, we want everyone to have his party. That creates like everyone, for example, if I'm Pearl and you are Mandingo and you are Susu, everyone, his ethnic groups is supporting them. So this makes everyone divided. If you go to election, only your ethnic group is supporting you, and it's very, very rare and very hard to see another ethnic group supporting another. So it makes people totally divided. Now in 2010, there was an presidential election. Now the two candidates is a Fuller and a Mandingo. The two enemies since 1958. Now they are the two who is competing to become president. And unfortunately, the Mandingo was supported by the army. So actually they had more power than the Fuller ethnic groups. Here is the Susu president I was talking about. And here is the Mandingo leader, and here is the Fula leader. He is Alpha Conde, he is Lansana Conde, and he is Seludel and Diallo. So these two people, they went to the 2010 election to conquer. Now the violence, oppression, and injustice, what happened? So in 2010, actually, there was high tension around the country, everywhere in the country. So what happened, the Mandingo and the Fulani, there was, high tension between them. That since history, there is tension between them. And now, each one of them want to get the power. So these people, they try to fight each other. Like in Upper Guinea, if you remember, I saw the map. In Upper Guinea, there was a lot of Fulani and there was a lot of Mandingo. Actually, the Upper Guinea is mostly occupied by the Mandingo group. So all the Fulani in there was sacked away, was killed, and their goods was destroyed. And the Middle Guinea is occupied mostly by Fula ethnic groups. Them as well, they kill and torture and destroy all the Mandingo groups' goods. So actually the tension was very high between the two. So the Fulas live in their homes, and the Mandingo as well live in their houses and their goods. As you can see, some of the violence, what happened. Like here, there was a house, so everything was destroyed. And here, it's in the capital city. As you can see, how the violence was a bit complicated and hard. Here is the soldier. That's what they know, actually, standing up with guns, and yeah, no one has the right to talk. So here is, you see, as you can see, they would trying to beat demonstrator and stuff like that. So that's what happened between these two communities since 1958 to 2010. Now, if we start from 2010, the mapping the events. From 2010, there was an election, legislative election, which should have took place 6 months later after the presidential. And they didn't do that. Actually, the president, he didn't accept to go to the elections. And what happened, they start to discuss discuss about this event. If you remember the mapping, we got discussion and debates and overrun something. So we start actually by the discussions as well. Since 2010, there was discussing about these elections. If we should have it, we should have it 6 months later, or we should have it later on. So the opposition and the government was discussing about this. And in 2011, the debate was boycotted by the government. So the government doesn't want to come to the debates and stuff like that. And the opposition says they will demonstrate. Now, they are getting closer to the number 3, the rule number 3, overrun the life. Nobody is listening. They just want to take action now. So, actually, the army killed and injured many people during this demonstration. The opposition says they will organize. The opposition came to the UN to complain, and beside the USA embassy and the France embassy and the UN, to blame the governments and accuse them of being killing people and stuff like that. So that's the rule number 4, I think, on the escalator. Then they say if the government didn't organize the election, they won't stop demonstrations. The demonstration just goes on every Monday and Thursday for about 2 months. The country was in demonstration, and every demonstration people are being killed and so on. So that's what happened actually. If you can see the mapping, it's just they start by debating. It didn't work. They warn each other. It didn't work. So they straight away go into action, like doing the demonstration. And even that, they go to complain, like blaming each other in front of the UN and stuff like that. And finally, that doesn't work. So do it or I help you. That's what happens then. Organize the election, or I will hurt you. I will do demonstration every single month. Now the solution, what I think is a solution. Guinea security and defense forces should enforce greater discipline in their rank. Like they should have discipline within the army. Because sometimes if there is demonstrations, even the president give an order, they don't listen. They just go around and start killing and beating people. So reduce the risk of possibility that violence could feed into broader ethnic tension within the army itself. Because if in the army there is Mandingo and all the ethnic groups inside the army, if they didn't reduce the risk, there could be a division inside the army, and that's the worst can happen. So Guinea President and Prime Minister must recognize that violence crackdown on defenseless citizens will severely damage their credential and likely lead to open ethnic conflicts as well. So, like small violences on civilians, they don't have anything, they don't have guns. Actually, one day they will think to have their own guns and defend themselves. So they should prevent this to happen. As well, continued violence would ruin the democratic process of the country, because every time if there is violence, actually we are, I think, in 100 something classified the democratic country in the world. So every time there is violence, actually it's raining down, and it's more likely that the country will be in danger, and there won't be any investment in the country. No one would invest where there are conflicts and violences every time. So that was it. Thank you very much.